Hi everyone, Timothy Bennett here, professional photographer and filmmaker. Today I'm going to do a quick review on the Dehancer Lightroom plugin software that's going to take your digital images and make them look like they were shot on film. It's coming up right now. Alright, before we open up the software and get into this, just a quick disclaimer. Dehancer did send me this software out for free and asked if I would give my thoughts on it. I am not being paid for this review. I'll just tell you guys what I think of it, show you guys how to use it, and if it's something you guys want, I'll leave a link in the description below. Also, I'm going to leave a coupon code for 10% off of the software. Let's get into it. Show you guys how to launch the plugin after you guys get it installed. Pretty simple. Just open up Lightroom. I'm going to show you guys, I'm just going to kind of go through a couple images, show you guys how the software works. This is one I shot in San Clemente, I think sometime last year. So say I want to edit this image, I'm going to right click, edit in, Dehancer Lightroom plugin. I'm going to go ahead and do a copy because I do want to compare it to my original once I get it back into Lightroom. So it's basically just going to open up the Dehancer plugin in a separate window. That's what you're seeing here. So this is the interface. Let me just kind of take you for a tour around. So this shows you your little inspector window down here. I don't like that there. I like to see the full screen of the image. Preview, you can turn it on and off, see what it's actually doing. And you can see there, the film grain's already added automatically, which is pretty cool. If I hit OK, that's going to save this image back into Lightroom. Cancel will just discard it. Over here we got presets. You can see all these have already loaded up. I think there's 60 something presets, so it's pretty exhaustive list of different films you can use. Then we have profiles. Let's see, these are the film stocks here. The presets are ones I think that they've already loaded in here, and then you can also make your own. I'll show you guys how to do that in a little bit. So I'm going to go to the profiles. Definitely want to warm this one up a little bit and add some more grain. So let's see. I'm trying to remember which one I used. Fuji Instax. Turn my preview back on. That one's, yeah, it's pretty good. Instax a little bit brighter. Arrow color, okay, kind of like that one. So we'll start here. Kodak Arrow color. So you have this push and pull right here. This is basically exposure. So I can go this way, darken it a little, lighten it a little. Usually I like to keep that right kind of where it starts, right there. So then the rest of your controls are here on the right side. So basically you got your source. Again, you've got exposure, temp, tint, defringe. If there is any fringing, this image is not really a problem. So start out with exposure. Going to brighten this up a little bit. Temp. Going to warm this up. Add a little bit of a magenta in there. Defringe. Not really going to worry about this for this image. Film compression. I don't really like what this does to the image. Kind of darkens your shadows. Crushes the highlights a little bit. I don't really like it, but you guys can play around with this. You can lower it down a little bit, set a white point, tonal range, how much it's affecting here, your color density. I kind of added some orange there. Yeah, I like it better without. Expand, so I can come in here, set my black point, which I actually want to open up these shadows down here. It's a little dark. So I'm going to open that up. That's a little better. White point. actually brighten that just a little bit. There's no detail here really, but I'm not too worried about that. So it kind of gives your image already. This looks like an old style, you know, Kodak film stock. So I hit preview. There's my original. And you can see it kind of adds that haze, that grain, that film that people that have shot film are used to. Then we got profile here. So this is actually your print profile. So if you're going to print this to a lab, you come in here and make these adjustments. I'm not going to print this, so I really don't need to play too much around. But as you're adjusting in here, just so you know, it will show you on screen what it's actually doing. So see if I adjust this exposure here, it's going to show you more like what the print's actually going to look like. So I'm not printing any of these right now, so I'm not going to mess with that. And yeah, color head, you got all kinds of adjustments in here. Yellow, blues, magenta, green, cyan, red, which I will take that up a little bit. Really going for a warm summer look on this one. Shadow tones, mid-tones, so this is basically going to adjust those colors in shadows, highlights, and midtones. So coming to my midtones. Yeah, see I can add some of that warmth into the midtones. Highlights too, which I like that. That basically fills, if you look at these highlights right here in the water, turns them that orange, so they're not just solid white, which is, I like that a little bit better. Impact, if you bring this down, it basically kind of removes what you've done, so it's showing you how much it's impacting it, and you can bring it down if you want. So if you kind of made it a little bit too punchy, you can just back that off here. So it's pretty cool. Take that down to like 80. Film grain, so here's where it gets pretty cool. It's already added film grain, you can see in here, but if I go in here and start adjusting my size, see how much bigger it's getting? So I mean, this would be typical of, I'd say, some faster speed films, like maybe some 800, some 1000. If you're shooting 1 ISO or 200 film speed, it's probably going to be around this range. It wouldn't be that grainy. But again, this is just for show purposes, show you what it can actually do. But yeah, it's already looking like it was shot on film. Then you've got resolution. So here, you can bring your resolution all the way down. Kind of almost blurs the image a little. If you bring it up, it actually starts to get rid of some of the film grain. So if you added a little too much grain, you can increase this resolution. And it'll actually kind of start backing that off, kind of like it right about there. Shadows. Here I will bump this up because I'm really losing detail down here in the bottom. So bring that up just a little. Your midtones, you can play with those. And highlights. It's removing grain in the highlights, midtones, and shadows. So I don't mind them there in the highlights, but I am going to remove some of the shadow grain down here, because you can see down here it's getting too grainy. So I'll back that off. Negative, you can actually switch it from negative to a positive. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in negative. Mode, analog, digital. So these make slight adjustments, nothing too major. You can actually go through and readjust if you want to switch it to digital. So halation, this one's kind of cool, but I wouldn't go too overboard here. It's kind of going to put halos around certain objects depending on their color. So you can see right here, I don't know if you can see it, in these telephone poles down here. See how it's putting that red, kind of reddish tint, and it's kind of brightening it a little bit. So you can play around, diffuse it. There you can really see it. So I take this to local diffusion up. See all this? And these highlights was never there. Back it off, it's gone. So you can see that difference, I hope. Yeah, I'd use this sparingly, just a little bit. You don't want it to be blowing things too much out. Global diffusion, That's just giving you kind of the whole image scale. As you can see, it's kind of diffusing different areas of the image. Amplify, intensify, or back off on it. Hue, that's just going to adjust the color of the halation. I'd leave that alone. And then impact here, again, most of these effects have this impact slider. So if you think you've gone too far, just back it off. So that'd be, you can see it all the halation. All these areas that are bright, it's definitely affecting. So if I back that off, just back it off so it's not too pronounced. And then bloom, similar to the halation. Again, it's kind of playing with the highlights in the image. You got details. That's kind of increasing the contrast, actually. Diffusion. Not gonna play with that too much. Amplify. So you can make it intense. See how it just, these areas are getting really bright. So back that off. I don't like that to be too much. Save lights. See that what that's doing? It's intensifying. Even here where the highlights aren't blown out, it's brightening everything around the telephone post. So that, definitely I'd use that sparingly. Bring that down a little. And then your saturation. Take that down. I kind of like it up. I like the reds in there. And then again, you got the impact slider down here. So you can go, oh, I went too far. Back it off. So that's looking good already. Vignette, that's going to be the last thing on here. If you add a vignette, it's just darkening the edges, as you know, if you're familiar with Lightroom. I can bring that real dark, real bright. So again, use this really sparingly. Like on this image, I don't think I even need it. But you've got the size of the vignette. You can increase it, decrease it. Here, feather it. So obviously I would feather it. You don't want to have like a harsh line. And then you got an aspect ratio here. So again, on this one, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to check that off. So that's pretty much it here. So I can show you the before and after. That's before, after. So huge difference. Really added some reds. Really gave it kind of a vintage look. All the film grain here added. And it actually, it crushed the highlights a little bit, which I like better for this style of a look. So definitely cool. Let me show you guys how to save a preset. So if you come into your presets here, you can actually click on this. It'll come up, give it a name. So I like to keep the name of the actual film stock in there. And then at the end of it, I'll just put, you know, like sunset. And an author is whoever created it, add preset. And then basically it's right here. It's there if I want to add it to any images in the future. And basically these controls, I can undo a last edit, reset all settings to default if you want to start over, and then restore last used settings here. So pretty cool. I can hide this panel if I want, but that's up to you if you need a bigger workspace to view it. This basically just gets rid of this little histogram down here. I didn't find it too helpful, so I keep it out of there. And then that'll zoom in. If you want to see your film grain, you can go 1:1, and you can really see it here. It intensifies it. So that's about it. If I hit OK, show you guys, it's going to take it back into Lightroom, and then we'll be able to see it right next to the original that we did. So this is the image from Dehancer, and this is the one from the original Lightroom. So you can see the difference. Pretty big difference. So it's pretty cool. Definitely play around with it. Next I'm going to show you guys a portrait that I took at this same photo shoot, and we'll adjust that and show you guys how that works. At my second image, I'm going to do a portrait this time. So I'm going to do this one. Did a modeling shoot that day, so let me see which one. Alright, so I'm going to take this one in. So again, to get into Dehancer, I'm going to right click, edit in, Dehancer Lightroom plugin, edit copy, and this one will go a little bit faster. You guys should already be familiar with the interface at this point, so I will run through this one a little bit quicker. So I'm going to disable histogram. Again, let's go to our profiles, find our film stock. Agfa, that one's actually pretty nice. A little bit more orange. You guys can see, the grain already pronounced here in the image. I think I'm going to go with the Agfa color. So we'll start this one as our base. So I'm going to come over here, source, zoom in. You can already see that grain's looking good. Already giving it like a vintage feel. So, whoa. So yeah, exposure. Definitely want to go lightly on these controls because they'll kind of jump up in a hurry. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow in there. Defringe again. Don't really have any fringing in this image, so I'm not going to worry about that. Film compression. See, you can see how it kind of darkens and crushes everything. So I'm not going to use the film compression on this one. Expand, so black point. I'm going to darken that black point a little bit more contrast. Just a little bit on the highlights, not much. Color mode, I'm going to stay at normal. Print, again, not printing this one. Color head, so here's all your color adjustments. This is mainly earth tones in this image, so Justin These is actually just kind of throwing colors out of whack, as you can see here. So reds, I can add a little bit of red in there, not much. Okay, shadow tones. Yeah, let's bump that up a little bit. Bump that up. Highlight tones. See, it kind of just takes the whole thing to that, which is, really don't like that. I like to leave the highlights somewhat bright. Preserve exposure. Keep that high, and then impact, again, if I want to remove it all. Kind of with adjustments and without. So I'm going to leave that around 80. Film grain, so there's a little bit, I'm going to increase it. Okay, that's all the way. Obviously that's way too much. But for this image, I'm going to go a little bit more than I did with the last one. We're out right there, it's pretty pronounced. Amount, definitely want to use this sparingly on the amount. Say that's plenty. And again, resolution will back it off. It'll actually make the grain a little bit smaller. So leave that there. Grain in the shadows. It's fine. Midtones, which is going to be a lot of the face. See, I can bring that down. Almost got rid of it completely on her face. So if you want to keep the skin a little bit smoother, you can back that off a little bit, but I definitely still want it to be there. Highlights is pretty much the whole sky. So we can remove it. And then, well, it doesn't look as much like it was shot on a film to me if you take it out of there. So definitely leave some grain in the highlights as well. Color. Yeah, not going to play with that too much. Okay, I'm going to leave these. Analog negative halation. Probably not going to do too much on this one. Let's see. Background grain, take that down. Smoothness, so this actually smooths out the grain, which is kind of cool. Local diffusion. Definitely don't like that. See how it's kind of starting to halate here? You see the red, a little bit in the hair. Not a fan of that, so bring that down. Yeah. Let me just go down to impact. That's without it. You can see it. See it on the neckline? Right here. On the logo here, the hair. So let's bring that back that off. Almost like it better without it. I'm gonna put it at like 39. It's not too much bloom. Again, let's see, impact. It's basically taking anything that's white, this highlight here, this logo, and the sky, and it's kind of putting a halo, a bloom around it. On this image, I'm not even going to mess with that. Leave it off. Vignette, I will vignette this a little bit. Doesn't need much. So, feathered. Yeah, that's fine. So, see the before and after? I mean, huge difference on this one. Really got the grain in. Shadows and in the highlights all through here. It's definitely pretty cool. I like how this one came out. So again, we can save it as a preset. Go in your presets, hit the plus sign. I will keep the film stock name, but then I'll put portrait. And I'm the author, add preset. So now that portrait preset's right here. I can put it on any other portrait I bring in. Just something to note. I wasn't able to bring multiple images into the Dehancer preset. It's one at a time, kind of similar to most other presets. So that's why that's why these presets come in handy, because if you're going to do, say, 10 images, just bring each one in, click that, and you're done. So that's pretty much it on the portrait. You can definitely see the difference. Hope you guys like that. I'm going to hit OK. Bring me back into Lightroom, show you the before and after, which you've pretty much already seen, but let's see, before was this one, and then after, definitely a vintage look. Okay, so who is this plugin for? I would say anybody who wants to get that vintage look and kind of mimic some film stocks for different types of projects. Maybe you're doing an ad campaign and they want a vintage look. This is definitely a good piece of software for that. Or just anybody that's coming from a film background that wants to reintroduce some of the original work that they used to do shooting film to their present workflow. Definitely gonna come in handy. So yeah, I would say pick this up, try it out. I'll leave the description, linked in the description below to get the, I think it's a 30-day free trial. I definitely encourage you to try it out. And I'm also going to leave a coupon code in that description that's going to allow you to get 10% off if you do decide to purchase the software. So Thanks again for watching. Always pursue your passions, keep crushing it. We'll see you guys in the next one.